In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army. Having completed my studies there, I was duly attached to the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers as assistant surgeon. The regiment was stationed in India at the time, and before I could join it, the Second Afghan War had broken out. On landing at Bombay, I learned that my corps had advanced through the passes and was already deep in the enemy's country. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar in safety, where I found my regiment and at once entered upon my new duties. The campaign brought honors and promotion to many, but for me, it had nothing but misfortune and disaster. I was removed from my brigade and attached to the Berkshires, with whom I served at the fatal battle of Maiwand. There I was struck on the shoulder by a Jezebel bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous Ghazis had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who threw me across a pack horse and succeeded in bringing me to safety at the British lines. Worn with pain and weak from the prolonged hardships which I had undergone, I was removed with a great train of wounded sufferers to the base hospital at Peshawar. Here I rallied and had already improved so far as to be able to walk about the wards and even to bask a little upon the veranda when I was struck down by enteric fever, that curse of our Indian possessions. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I was so weak and emaciated that a medical board determined that not a day should be lost in sending me back to England. I was dispatched, accordingly, in the troop ship Orontes, and landed a month later on Portsmouth Jetty, with my health irretrievably ruined, but with permission from a paternal government to spend the next 9 months in attempting to improve it. There I stayed for some time at a private hotel in Strand, leading a comfortless, meaningless existence, and spending such money as I had considerably more freely than I ought. So alarming did the state of my finances become that I soon realized that I must either leave the metropolis and rusticate somewhere in the country, or that I must take a complete alteration in my style of living. Choosing the latter alternative, I began by making up my mind to leave the hotel and to take up my quarters in some less pretentious and less expensive domicile. On the very day that I had come to this conclusion, I was standing at the Criterion bar when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and turning round I recognized young Stamford, who had been a dresser under me at Bart's. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. In the old days, Stamford had never been a particular crony of mine, but now I hailed him with enthusiasm, and he, in his turn, appeared to be delighted to see me. In the exuberance of my joy, I asked him to lunch with me at the Holborn, and we started off together in a hansom.
Poor devil. What are you up to now?
Looking for lodgings. Trying to solve the problem as to whether it is possible to find comfortable room at a reasonable price.
That's a strange thing. You are the second man today to use that expression on me.
And who was the first?
A fellow who is working at the chemical laboratory up at the hospital. He was bemoaning himself this morning because he could not get someone to go halves with him on some nice rooms that he'd found that were a bit too much for his purse.
By Jove, if he really wants someone to share the rooms and expenses with, I am the very man for him. I should prefer having a partner to being alone.
You don't know Sherlock Holmes. Perhaps you would not care for him as a constant companion.
Why? What's there against him?
Oh, I didn't say there was anything against him. He's a little queer in his ideas. An enthusiast in some branches of science. As far as I know, he's a decent fellow enough.
A medical student, I suppose?
No, I have no idea what he goes for. I believe he's well up in anatomy, first class chemist, but as far as I know, he's never taken out any systematic medical classes. His studies are very desultory and eccentric, but he has amassed a lot of out-of-the-way knowledge, which would astonish professors.
Did you ever ask him what he was going in for?
No. He's not a man that is easy to draw out. Though, excuse me. Though he can be communicative enough when the fancy seizes him.
I should like to meet him. If I'm to lodge with anyone, I should prefer a man of studious and quiet habits. I'm not yet strong enough to stand much noise or excitement. I had enough of both in Afghanistan to last me the remainder of my natural existence. How can I meet this friend of yours?
He's sure to be in the laboratory. He either avoids the place for weeks or he works there from day to night. If you like, we will drive around together after luncheon.
Certainly.